Hi, I'm John with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we're going to be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember that anytime you work on an appliance, make sure that it is unplugged or the circuit breaker is turned off so there is no chance of electrocution. Today we're going to show you how to install a new motor for a Frigidaire dryer. It's an easy job that only requires a putty knife, a Phillips head screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver, a 7/8" socket, a pair of needle nose pliers, and a pair of arc joint pliers. When you open the package, you're going to get one new motor assembly. The reason why you'd be replacing the motor is if it has a bad heating circuit switch, which would allow the motor to run but not provide heat, or if the motor assembly doesn't run at all. Use a putty knife to release the two retaining clips that hold the top panel in place. Then tilt back the top panel and rest it on something secure. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the two screws that retain the front panel of the dryer cabinet. Afterwards, firmly pull the front panel forward, which will release it from the retaining clips. Disconnecting the door switch allows you to completely remove the front panel assembly. Note the location of the two door switch wires. Then use a pair of needle nose pliers to remove the two wires. Lift up and then remove the front panel and set it aside. While you can reach under the drum assembly to access the belt tensioner, for many it might be easier to release the belt through the rear access panel. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the two screws that retain the access panel to the dryer. Afterwards, remove the access panel, pull back on the belt tensioner, and then remove the belt from the motor pulley. When the belt is disconnected, you can now remove the idler arm from its pivot. And then disconnect the spring from the arm. Afterwards, you can remove the idler arm assembly from the dryer. With the belt removed from the tensioner assembly, you can now remove the belt from the drum. Remove the plastic drum alignment spacer to generate added clearance for removing the dryer drum. Then, remove the dryer drum. With the drum removed, you'll now have access to the motor assembly. Disconnect the wiring harness that goes to the motor assembly. Use a pair of arc joint pliers to prevent the motor shaft from moving. Use a 7/8" socket to loosen the blower wheel from the motor shaft. To loosen, turn the bolt clockwise. If the blower wheel is really tight, you might need to use a pair of locking pliers to hold the shaft so that you can use both hands to loosen the blower wheel. Press down on the top of the metal retaining clip at the rear of the motor. Then remove it from the assembly. Use a flat blade screwdriver to press in on the tab, then remove the plastic clip that holds the front edge of the dryer motor. Then, remove the old motor from the dryer. Here's the old dryer motor next to the new one. If you already have the new part, great. If not, you can get it from AppliancePartsPros.com. Install the new motor by positioning the front shaft so that it goes through the blower wheel housing. Then, align the front and rear mounts on the chassis supports. In a counterclockwise direction, thread the blower wheel onto the motor shaft. Afterwards, use a pair of arc joint pliers to prevent the motor shaft from turning. Then, use a 7/8" socket to tighten the blower wheel to the motor shaft. Position the plastic support clip, then press down firmly until you hear a click. Install the metal retaining clip that holds the rear of the motor in place. Reconnect the wiring harness. Reinstall the drum in the dryer cabinet. Reinstall the drum alignment spacer. Reinstall the drive belt onto the dryer drum. Remember that the rib side of the belt faces towards the drum. Put the belt tensioner assembly back in place by first connecting the spring to the hole in the end. Then position the end of the idler arm on the pivot. Put the drive belt on the motor pulley, then reconnect the belt tensioner assembly. Reinstall the rear access panel, and then thread in and tighten the 2 Phillips head screws. Reinstall the front panel, making sure that the small openings on the bottom of the panel align with the 2 metal tabs on the dryer cabinet. Reconnect the 2 wires to the door switch. In our case, the gray wire goes in the middle, the blue wire goes on the side. Afterwards, lift up on the top of the dryer drum, then tilt the panel all the way into position. Once the panel is in place, thread in and tighten the 2 Phillips head retaining screws. Lower down the top panel and then push on the front edge to engage the 2 retaining clips. Afterwards, reconnect the power cord and then you can take the dryer for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. And be sure to check out our other repair videos on our website, on our Facebook page, and on our YouTube channel.